Okay guys, now we will discuss about IELTS. What the meaning of IELTS? The International English Language Testing System or IELTS measures the language proficiency of people who want to study or work where English is used as a language of communication. So, on this occasion, I will explain the ins and outs of IELTS. Come on, we go to the next slide. There are two types of people who take the IELTS test. This type depends on the purpose of the person the IELTS test. The first type is academic. This type is usually reserved for students who are want to continue their education abroad. Some countries require that students be want to go to school or study in their country to take the IELTS test first. This is intended so that later the students will find it easier to speak and understand the material which generally use English. The second type is general. This type is the type specifically for the general public who wish to take the IELTS test. For example, for people who want to work at an overseas company. For what this IELTS? For their later really ready in work skills and good and correct English skill. Each participant in the IELTS test will pass 4 important components. These 4 components consist of listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Each component also has its own duration, which if calculated as a whole is for 2 hours 45 minutes, not including rest hours. Okay, next, we enter the first component, namely listening. The duration of the listening test is for 30 minutes divided into 4 sessions with a total of 40 questions. Usually, participants a message will be heard about things that are currently being discussed. Some of the things needed to be successful on this listening test include: first, listen carefully to the things conveyed, especially for information that is of its nature specific, such as dates and place names. Second, understand the point of what is heard so that feedback on opinions the speaker can match what is being discussed. And the last is understand the meaning of the opinion expressed by the speaker, because this listening test will continue with a discussion with the examiner who is the speaker, so it's good for the participant understand the meaning put forward by the examiner. Previously explained, the listening has 4 sections known as destination listening test format. This 4 sessions consist of Section 1, conversation between 2 people, usually between examiners and participants, discussing about issues that examiner had previously heard. Section 2, monologue by participant, where in this section, participant will be asked one question which then must be answered with an explanation in the form of monologue. Section 3, conversation between 4 people. At this stage, 2 more people will be added. In the meaning, discussion, and ideas that will be expressed by the participant must be broader. The more people will argue. And the section 4 is drawing conclusion. Later, participants will be asked to draw conclusion from the talk that was done before. Okay, now On this slide, I will discuss strategies that can be used to success in listening test. First, remember the first speaker said. Once again, remember what the first speaker said. And second is read the question carefully before listening. And the last is familiarize yourself with question types such as completing a chart, selecting pictures, and note-taking exercises. The point is be careful person and listen carefully and get used to itself to analyze a thing that is put forward. This is why practice before taking the test is so necessary. So, we enter the following IELTS test component, namely the reading test. As the title suggests, any stage participant will be asked to read a text that has been provided and answer some of the questions that will be asked afterward. It takes 60 minutes to complete this reading test, with the number of reading as many as 3 readings with a total of 40 questions. The reading used is usually the part taken from books, magazines, journals, or newspaper. As in the previous stage, namely the listening test, this reading test too will discuss things or events that are trending or rising. The types of questions to be given by the examiner generally consists of 3, namely, first, find detailed information. Second, identify attitudes and views. And third, or the last, is complete a diagram. There are 2 strategies to be successful on this reading test. The first is identification of reading skills and understanding the meaning of the reading. Then the second is always practice, so when you feel ability, your reading is not yet good. You can improve it to be better, especially when taking the IELTS test. Next, the third component that will be tested on the IELTS test is a writing test. In the test, in this case, participants will be asked to write their opinions and idea with proficiency that has been determined in the IELTS test. The writing test lasts 60 minutes with a total of 2 assignments. Task 1 with a duration of 20 minutes. In this first assignment, participants will describe reports that appear in the form of tables or diagrams with the condition of 150 words. Meanwhile, for task 2, with a duration of 40 minutes, participants will make an essay with 250 words relating to the response to an opinion or problem with the initial idea of agreeing or not agree. The composition of the essay that will be made later must contain a discussion of the issue put forward, then build an argument that strengthens the initial opinion, namely agree or disagree, and provide a number of actual facts about the argument. From the steps, participants will be brought to draw conclusion. To be successful on this writing test, maybe you need to listen to some strategies which can be used. The first is read the question very carefully and try to understand the meaning of the question of such a statement, so you can be facilitated in give ideas because you already understand the question given. And the second is familiarize yourself with describing a data taken from a newspaper or a story, because the IELTS test because the IELTS test will contain data in a table form, diagrams, and etc., which the participant must describe. And third, or the last, is always practice your skill in formulating ideas that belong to you, the topic brought up. This will help you later in making your essay fast and precise in writing tests. Okay, next. The final component on the IELTS test is speaking. The speaking test doesn't take much time, only about 10 to 15 minutes. The form of the test is in the form of face-to-face interview between one participant and one tester. The speaking test consists of 3 parts. Okay, now we will discuss about the parts of speaking test of IELTS. Okay, let's go to the part 1. Part 1 is taken 4 to 5 minutes, introduction and interview. Part 2 taken 1 to 3 minutes, including preparation, individual talk. And the last part is part 3, taken 4 to 5 minutes, discuss the topic. Okay, in this speaking test, participants are required to 1. Speak fluently and link ideas coherently. 2. Demonstrate a range of appropriate vocabulary. 3. Use accurate grammar and appropriate register. And 4. Speak so that a listener can understand. How the grammar and language structure of the participant is very influential on appraisal. Okay, now we will go to discuss about strategies to be success in speaking tests. Like the components of the previous IELTS test, here are some strategies what you can do to be successful in your speaking test. Okay, part 1. The first strategies is part 1 is take the initiative if possible. Second, always say more than yes or no. And the last is try to overcome nerves. So be brave, don't nervous. Okay, next to the part 2. Okay, take the 1 minute preparation time. Okay, I always say you must prepare yourself and before the test, like these strategies in part 2, you must take the 1 minute preparation time. Second, jot down some main ideas and sound interested in the talk. So your conversation in the speaking test with the examiner will be interesting because you talk with interesting style. Okay, next is part 3 or the last part. First, give informed response. Second, demonstrate your control of the language. So control your language. Next is attempt to express abstract ideas. Next is support your opinions. And the last is show that you are willing to provide extended replies. Okay, next slide is scoring. Okay, after the 4 components in the IELTS test have been tested, the examiner will give a score against the participant IELTS test results. The scorer will determine success or failure someone on this IELTS test. Participant will re-achieve a score in the form of a badge with scale from 1 to 9. Okay, on this slide, we will begin to discuss each score obtained from the IELTS test. Band 0 is did not attempt the test. Band 1 non-user. Band 2 intermittent user. Band 3 extremely limited user. Band 4 limited user, and Band 5 modest user. Participants are declared not passing if they get a score of 0 to 5. So you must prepare. Once again, I say prepare yourself if you want to success in this IELTS test. Okay. Next, so at what score can the participant pass? Participant will declare pass if they get a minimum score of 6. In Band 6, participants have included in the competent user, where participants have met the basic standards set by the IELTS team. Okay, the minimal score you must reachieve is 6 to be success in this IELTS test. Okay, the last 3 scores on the IELTS test are Band 7 good user, Band 8 very good user, and Band 9 is expert users. Just like Band 6, then 3 scores above will also lead participants to graduation in take the IELTS test. So, nearing the end of our discussion, let's take another look at the main possible strategies used by participants to get high scores and pass the IELTS test. There are 3 strategies you can do. First is familiarize yourself with the test, and second is practice. And the last or the third strategies is time management. Yeah. Diligent practice will make you get used to it and more on. Okay, to practice your skills in the IELTS test, you can use the reference in the following books. In this discussion, I recommend two useful books to you. First is Cambridge IELTS 3 with Answer and Insights into IELTS by Vanessa Jackman and Claire McDowell. Apart from books, you can also access websites related to IELTS such as first, UGC introductory site. You can access in www.ugccepa.com and IELTS homepage in www.ielts.org/index.htm, and the last is ELC homepage. You can access in elc.polu.edu.hk. Okay guys, that's our discussion this time about IELTS. Hope you can understand what we discussed earlier. If you have a dream to be able to go to school or work abroad, my advice is to start practicing and prepare yourself, because this IELTS test is already awaits. Stay healthy and see you!